Da-da-da-da-da. Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ, your Chef AJ and Friends. I don't even know the name of my own show. It's been a while. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and my guest today is Amy Storey. She is the president of Keuka College, where they are reinventing wellness. They had the most spectacular conference last year that I was privileged to be a part of, right at the Finger Lakes on the lakes. It wasn't just your usual conference with a bunch of, I don't want to say boring speakers, but speakers, even though they had fabulous speakers like Dr. Colin Campbell and Dr. Michael Clapper. But I mean, they took breaks and there were hikes and there was yoga like at the lake and there was kayaking and the food was spectacular. Whole food, plant-based, SOS free. It was delicious. It was fun. And they're doing it again this year. July 11th through 13th. I'm coming back, different speakers like Dr. Goldhammer. We're going to tell you all about it. But first, I want you to meet the president because she has a wonderful healing story of her own. She's a breast cancer survivor. She's been to True North. And please welcome Amy Storey to the show. Hello, do I have to call you president?
No, you can call me Amy. So thank you for having me, Chef AJ.
Well, thank you. So, I'd love to hear everything about your story of breast cancer survivorship, but also how you use that to create this wonderful event at the Finger Lakes.
Absolutely. So I was diagnosed in 2020 with breast cancer right at the beginning of the pandemic, and I almost skipped my mammogram. Thank goodness I didn't. And it was diagnosed at a routine mammogram. And as I did go through chemotherapy, no radiation, but at no point during my cancer treatment did anybody talk to me about food. And so it was after that that a friend of mine recommended going to True North to kind of get rid of all the chemicals that had been in my body through the chemotherapy. And that was when I really started learning more about the benefits of whole food plant-based. I really didn't know before that. And I didn't know when I was going through all of the chemo. And I didn't know that it would have benefited me then to start right away. So it's really become my passion to talk about this so that other people don't have to wait as long as I had to wait to learn about the benefits of eating this way.
That's fantastic. So you had no symptoms. It was just diagnosed at a routine mammogram. And what stage were you at when you were diagnosed, and what kind of breast cancer did you have?
It was stage 1B, and it was lobular, so it wasn't ductal. And it was HER2 positive and hormone receptor positive. So it was triple positive rather than triple negative. And that's complicated. 20 years ago, there was no therapy for this type of cancer. So I was very lucky to have the treatment that was available to me at that time. And, knock on wood, I am cancer free at this point.
That's
So.
fantastic. So what was treatment like for you, and where did you have it done?
Oh gosh. So I opted for bilateral mastectomy with reconstruction. But I went through 4 rounds of chemo before that. Then post mastectomy, I had a year of this adjuvant therapy that was the therapy for the HER2 or the human growth hormone, because the cancer was receptive to that. So I had to have that for a whole year, every 3 weeks infusion therapy for a year. But again, when I was going through it, I didn't know about any alternatives. I didn't know about water fasting. I didn't know until I was done, really how my diet was affecting my health, not to the good, let's just say.
Well, hey, it's fantastic that you learned this even when you learned it. What was treatment like for you? Was it terrible? Or I don't imagine it was fun.
It wasn't. So, Chef AJ, I was really nauseous, really tired, and I'm a college president. So it was not easy to keep up with everything that needed to be done here. In a way, it was kind of a blessing that it was during the pandemic because people couldn't travel, they couldn't go anywhere. So if there was ever a time to be down and out, that was the moment. But it was very difficult. And coming back from all of those chemicals probably took a good 2 years. It was not a quick process for me.
Wow. At what point after treatment did you find out about True North and go?
Let's see. It was in January of 2022, so post chemotherapy. And I wasn't even able to fully water fast because of some of the other medication that I was taking. So I did green juice. I did water for a little while, but then I did green juice, and it was life changing. I felt so much better. And I think that was really what jump started my recovery.
That's amazing. Was it a friend or a student that told you about True North? And had they been there themselves?
They had. So the person who was the provost at Keuka College, Brad Fuster, who was a longtime vegan and a huge proponent of Dr. Goldhammer and True North, is the one who told me about it. And he was insistent that I go. And believe me, a lot of other people were really skeptical about water fasting at that time. And thank goodness I listened to Brad and Dr. Goldhammer, who, as you know, talks to every single patient before he admits them into the True North program. But it was just so good. And then Chilla Varesh was my doctor when I was there, and she's also amazing and just such great care all around.
How long were you there for?
It was only about 10 days, but it was good. It was very good.
Have you been back since?
I haven't, but I'm trying to figure out how to fit it. My schedule is ridiculous, and it was really hard for me to get from, where we are, how remote we are in Keuka Park in upstate New York, to get to Santa Rosa. I actually took a bus from the San Francisco airport across the Golden Gate Bridge and all the way up. And then I took like an Uber from wherever the bus dropped me off to, it was crazy, but it was totally worth it.
Well, it's fantastic what you've created from your healing experience. So whose idea was this conference? And it was so successful last year. It's several hundred people from a lot of different places.
Yeah, so it was really a combination of people and ideas, and even people from the immediate surrounding community in upstate New York who had a desire to create this kind of wellness focused event, if you will. And if you'll remember, I think you went to the farm too, Farm Sanctuary.
Oh, that's
It's
right. That's part of the experience. People can actually do bonus trips.
It is. So, we're in farm country here. And so being surrounded by people who care about whole food, plant-based, animal wellness, the whole human experience was just really important. And so it was a lot of people, a lot of thinkers from this region who came together to create this experience.
That was amazing. Yeah, you have an amazing culinary team, I've got to say.
Yes, and actually, Wanda Huberman from the National Health Association also really helped us put that menu together. And as you know, they're also, they were early leaders in the natural hygiene movement and in vegan eating. So just really smart people, way smarter than I am. But I feel like we expose a lot of people to a new way of living and a new way of eating.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I had never been to the Finger Lakes before, and you're right. You can't just like get there like you can Las Vegas, but it really is quite beautiful, your surroundings.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
how are you?
Ah, that's my least favorite question. The only way I can answer that is that it's complicated. And next Thursday, I'm going live with Dr. Matt Letterman because there's nuances. There's not just like one answer. Like, how am I? Like my pancreas, my drink. But this show is about you. But thank you for overall. I will answer it the way my mother did. I'm in good shape for the shape I'm in. if that makes sense. So, I think a lot of it is attitude, and I'm curious, what was your attitude like, and what did it, I mean, there's a lot of hard things in life, but when you get that, I don't know how you were diagnosed. With me, it was like a message in my chart. There was no human like telling me. What did that feel like? Because it's a lot.
Yeah, there's a really good women's breast clinic here in the Rochester region. It's called Elizabeth Wendy, and they do such good work when it comes to total breast health. And so I went right from an abnormal mammogram to an ultrasound to a biopsy really quickly. And my doctor was very transparent with me that while she couldn't say for sure until the biopsy occurred, she was pretty sure that this was cancer. So, and that human touch, to your point, was really important for me because that's all she does all day long is deal with breast health. And so having somebody who really knew what I was up against and what was coming next was really important to me. But I didn't deal with it well. I'm not gonna lie. It was devastating. I think, I have young children. At that time, I had two school-age children. Now I still have one. And I was not prepared in any way, shape, or form. But eventually I got to gratitude, gratitude for every day that I felt well enough to get out of bed or do whatever I needed to do. It took me a little while to get there, but that's really what got me through it, is just recognizing that this can happen to anybody at any time. And, we're all lucky for every day that we have.
Absolutely. You mentioned breast health. Well, one of the speakers is Dr. Christy Funk. You can't get better than that.
I know. I'm so excited to meet her and have her speak to our audience as well. Having people that know their subject matter so well, because what you were just saying about your circumstance, it's complicated. There's never a straight answer. It's not just breast cancer. It's what type and how far advanced is it and what are the treatment options that are available to you. And it's complicated for sure. So having people who can explain that, I think, is really important.
Yeah. Well, when I think of cancer, or at least my journey with the experience of having phase 3 lung cancer, I think of this arcade game they used to have, and maybe they still have it. And it's called Whack-A-Mole. And you have this mallet and these mole. I don't like the idea of hitting even fake animals, but you pit one down and then three come up. And it's just when you think it's safe to go back to treatment, like my pancreatitis is better now. I got like other issues with my adrenals, and it's like, it's like you got to stay mentally strong because this is not for the weak of heart, I'll tell you.
It's not. And you go in for that blood work and all of a sudden there's something that's out of whack and that interrupts your treatment. It's really, really hard.
Yeah, blood work. I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
so tired of getting poked and bruised and
Yeah.
all that stuff. Well, did you ever, I mean, obviously you have children, but did you ever like feel like, oh my God, enough already? I just want to give up. Not give up on life, but you know what I mean? Like it's like enough treatment already. This is not fun.
Yes, I can say that. And I can also say that the treatment for me, because mine was hormone receptor positive, was that 10 years of whatever the medication, the oral medication they want you to take after all of the first rounds of chemo. And I can't even think of what it's called off the top of my head, but anybody who's had breast cancer that was hormone receptor positive has taken this medicine. And it was horrible for me. The side effects were horrible. All of it was horrible. And I, I just wonder if there isn't a better way. Like the surgery piece, it was painful, but at least it was over, But the chemicals and the side effects and all of that, it just feels like the residual effects are just endless. So yeah, it's frustrating for sure.
Did they give you any reason or idea why you might have gotten this? Do you have a history of it in your family?
No. No, I'm convinced that it was diet and lifestyle. I mean, nobody who gets cancer should ever blame themselves. It's not your fault. But I think that I didn't know enough about food to know how to eat in a way that would have protected me perhaps a little bit better. Um, at least that's my thinking now.
So it's great that Brad told you that, and that even better that you went, because a lot of people wouldn't go because it is kind of weird and wacky, especially if you haven't been immersed in that. So when you got there, I'll use Dr. Goldhammer's words, how quickly did you drink the Kool-Aid?
It was immediate. You can see the examples of the people who live and work there and how healthy they are and how they eat and how committed they are. And Dr. Goldhammer is not flexible. He's like, this is what you must do, and this is why you must do it, and these are the results that you can achieve if you do these things. And that was exactly what I needed. And yeah, it was a great experience. And yes, I will most definitely be going back at some
So I'm
point.
curious. So you changed your diet immediately based on these recommendations, but you said you had a family. Did they change as well, or were they resistant?
Totally resistant. And we still eat separately, we eat differently. And I worry about it a lot. My daughter is 14, and she's got my genetics. So even though I didn't have anybody in my history who had breast cancer, now she does. And I worry about it. And I try very hard not to. She's an anxious person anyway, so I don't want to put my anxiety on her. But I talk to my husband about it all the time, to the extent that we can get her more whole food, plant-based eating, it's going to have protective elements to her life and her longevity. So
Absolutely. Is it that she just doesn't like the food, or maybe her friends don't eat that way, or because at 14 it's hard to like sell them on the health aspect, I think.
she loves fruits and vegetables. It's not that she doesn't like them. It's just that there's so many other options that are available in her daily life that, it's hard. And my husband isn't committed to it either. We both of our parents, my father, his mother, they were raised on farms, and so they ate dairy and sweets and processed, and like that's just the way they ate. And so people in our family don't understand or agree with or understand eating this way. My mother is a little different because her family is Italian, so Mediterranean is a lot easier to convert to, this way of eating. Although my mother probably will never give up olive oil, so she would have to fight with Dr. Goldhammer about that. But I'm just saying it's closer than some of the other
But
ways our family
I'm glad that you are doing what's best for you, even if other people aren't following your lead. So you said the surgery was painful. How bad was the chemo?
the chemo was worse than the surgery, mostly because of the long-term effects on my liver. My liver is still not functioning the way it did pre-chemo. And I actually was in a test for taking less chemo than the United States typically prescribes. So um, there was research that they were doing to see what is the minimum amount of chemo that somebody needs to take. And that was my goal, was to have the minimum amount of poison. And luckily for me, my my oncologist was from South Africa, had studied in Europe. And so she had an opportunity to get me in this clinical study, which I was very happy to be in. So I think the usual treatment for my cancer was 6 rounds of this highly toxic chemo. I only had to have 4. And then the year of that adjuvant therapy, which was less toxic than chemo. I can't remember what they called it, some kind of immunotherapy. But, I most doctors don't even give you the option of having that level of discussion about your care. And she really did. So I really appreciated her.
Yep, that's the key, finding a good oncologist that will listen. Colleen, who's watching live, hello, Colleen. And Colleen, are you going this year to the lake? I know she went last year. She would like to know, did you ever have genetic testing?
I did, and I do not have the BRCA gene, although I do have some mutations. There's not enough data to know if those were indicative of the kind of cancer that I ended up with.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you. So let's talk a little bit about the conference, and there's a link below to register in the show notes, and I also put it in the chat. Who are the speakers this year?
So Abby, do you want to talk about it or should I talk about it? So Abby Dinan, our director of all things related to Wellness Weekend, is also on this call.
Abigail, would you like to join? Or there you go.
Sure. Hi, everyone.
Yeah,
We
are you in the jungle? No.
I am in the jungle. It's plants.
No.
It's plants behind me. So yeah.
Oh, good, yes.
Um, we have a really great lineup this year. So you mentioned Dr. Alan Goldhammer. We're just so happy to have him join us. And of course, you, Chef AJ. And you mentioned Dr. Christy Funk as well. But we also are bringing back Gene Bauer this year. So Gene is the co-founder of the Farm Sanctuary. He is giving a really neat co-presentation this year with Nate Salpeter, who's the co-founder and executive director of Sweet Farm, which is a local organization, much like the Farm Sanctuary, right? They're our neighbor. And we're bringing back Dr. Carrie Graff as well. So with these really great speakers, there's going to be great recreational activities as well. So our participants last year really loved the yoga in the morning that we did, that sunrise yoga right on the lake. I mean, you can't beat that view in the morning. We're going to be taking excursions to the Farm Sanctuary and also to the Corning Museum of Glass. Wait,
what is the Museum of Glass?
Yeah, so it's in Corning, New York. It's beautiful. They actually you can make glass like right at the museum. Amy, have you ever visited there before?
I have. It's amazing.
It's wonderful. So it's just really great that our visitors, there's excursions, of course, that they get to take. And so there's lots of activities right on campus, but they really have the opportunity to join the Finger Lakes and just really view our whole area. We have our nature trails on campus. You can get up and you can just kayak at the lake in the morning. So there's so many just wonderful activities to do. We have a great welcome party planned and just I think it's going to be overall a lot of fun.
It was wonderful last year. Did any students go?
So we do have students that are interested in attending. And of course, being right on the Keuka College, right, college campus, we actually have our adjunct professor of the year, Dr. John Furlong, is going to be giving a great presentation as well. So he was just awarded that at our commencement ceremony, and we're excited to have him as well.
That's nice. So I was looking at the schedule, and even though you have a wonderful food service staff, it looks like there's a restaurant involved in one of the meals, something special.
I think Sweet Pea, right? So Sweet Pea is a meal delivery service that is whole food, plant-based, and that is one of the ways that I eat that way when my family doesn't. So they prepare meals once a week and they deliver them to your house and they're delicious. So Sweet Pea is a great local option for people that perhaps are the only one in their family who's eating this way.
Do they deliver outside of your area?
I'm not sure how far they go.
I think they're in the Rochester area and surrounding areas, so within like an hour, I believe.
I've used Mama Says. I've used some of the bigger ones, but this local one is also really good.
Well, unfortunately, some of the quote bigger ones, like Mama Says and Whole Harvest, have since gone out of business. So yeah.
Dang, I didn't even know that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's real. And so what are the accommodations like for people?
Yeah, so our attendees have the option to stay right on campus. So we have our residence halls, and then we also have our newly renovated apartments, which are right on the water. So our attendees have the opportunity to stay right here. We provide all your bedding for you, everything that you need. You don't have to leave once you come to the conference if you don't want to. We take care of all of those accommodations for you. And you can register for overnight accommodations while you're registering for the conference.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see Michael again, Chef Michael, because he was just wonderful. I'm saying in air quotes, he assisted me. He was really half of the duo, and he was just wonderful to work with. We were a little outrageous, things we couldn't say on. I think people really enjoyed it, and we sure had a lot of fun working together.
I have to say, I think that was the highlight of last year was you and Michael and it's almost like you had rehearsed, but you didn't. It was like off the cuff that people just loved it. That was the best part.
Yeah, and so now it's like, oh my God, because a lot of times people hire me, but like a year and then a year passes, and I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to top what I did last year? So I'm trying to work on the jokes and stuff, but maybe we'll have some more fun and do some maybe even like I think if we do like an Iron Chef type thing, where we can just kind of throw shade at each other, that would be fun. But he was so fun to work with, and I can't remember the name of the head chef, but he was wonderful. I don't
Vinny.
Yeah, I loved him. Vinny
Mhm.
was great. Yeah, I mean the food, I mean, I'm not just saying this. I go to a lot of conferences and it was really one of the best. And I think part of it was the food was perfect. There wasn't a problem like you've seen at other conferences where it wasn't compliant, it wasn't enough, and it was delicious. And also the location, it's so different. When you go to most conferences, you are in a hotel or a meeting room and it's freezing and there's no windows. But at your conference, you're looking at a lake, the whole time. It's like you can't get around it. It's everywhere. And on your break, instead of going, to another freezing bathroom, you're going outside and you're kayaking and you're walking and you're bonfires by the beach. I don't think people realize. I don't know if you took footage from last year because I think if people realized what a unique experience it was, and it wasn't just a health conference, it was really kind of a destination event.
And I think that's why we're so committed to it because this is a healing environment. The shores of Keuka Lake is a healing place to go. So,
Have you?
And
Mhm.
attendees can take a look at the website. There's a whole photo album from last year. So if you're interested in looking at photos, there's a whole bunch.
Right. And people generally fly into Rochester, right, to get there. That's usually the airport of choice for most people, right?
Yes, Rochester or Syracuse.
Oh, or Syracuse. Nice. And what about alumni? Have you reached out to them to come to this wonderful event?
We have, and we do have some alumni that are attending as well. It's really special. We have such a supportive and wonderful Keuka community that extends to our alumni and our local community.
Yeah, or what I was thinking for fellow like professors or teachers, are they
Yeah.
anybody? I guess my question is anybody interested in health and healing other than the president?
yes. So, some of the attendees last year who are also coming back this year include some of our faculty, some of our retired faculty who are also plugged into the artist community, if you will. There are some potters and sculptors, and so they're just people that are interested in this region and in general wellness that are all just they're the right people. They're the people you want to learn about this with. You want them in the room with you.
Absolutely. Other than this once a year event, is there anything being done at Keuka to like make wellness more apparent? Like, I don't know, maybe having vegan options in the dining hall or having, speakers throughout the year, for example.
There are. So the two biggest events we have once per semester. They're called Passport to Wellness, and the whole day is full of wellness opportunities for students, faculty, staff, everyone. And yes, vegan options are available every day, but we've got a lot of work to do, Chef AJ. I'm not gonna, Vinny probably told you, we ate more vegetables during last wellness weekend than the students consume in a month on campus in a regular month. They just don't eat this way. And so we're doing what we can to try to move people in that direction, but it's a long road.
Yep, absolutely. What about just people in the neighborhood like that aren't affiliated with the college but live there? Do they know about this event?
They do. Abby, how many local people do you know? Have you been looking at where they're coming from?
Yeah, so there's a lot of locals within the the Penn Yan community, kind of just the Finger Lakes region in general. many of the many of the individuals that attend come up from like the Rochester area, but what we've heard is there's nothing else like this close. So it's a really, they're so happy to see this type of opportunity, here this year. We have a group of teachers coming this year, and they're so excited. They are, they're vegan eaters who are learning about whole food, plant-based diets, and they're retired teachers, and they're so excited that this event is happening in their own back door.
Nice. Well, I can't wait. There's a question, Amy, for you. How often do you have to be like screened, or not screened isn't the word, but follow-ups like maybe with PET scans or CAT scans, or are you completely no evidence of disease now?
No evidence of disease. Although I know I said cancer-free, nobody's cancer-free, so I get that. But I have no evidence of disease. Because I don't have breasts anymore, I really don't get mammograms, although I just went for my annual physical, and my doctor's like, yeah, you probably should go, just for the heck of it. So I'm gonna start going back to Elizabeth Wendy. I don't have any breast tissue on the cancer side, but the non-cancer side, they did nipple sparing surgery, so there's still a little bit of tissue. But there's very little I'm doing at this point other than just regular annual checkups.
Yeah. I was going to ask you that because you said you had reconstruction surgery, and if they're not real boobs, how do you have a mammogram?
Well, that's what I was saying, but my OBGYN, because I had her take out my ovaries too at the same time. I'm 53. I'm like, what do I need them for? Get rid of them, if it's going to continue to cause potential problems in the future. But she said to have that side with the nipple sparing surgery especially checked. And because Elizabeth Wendy has like the ultrasound and everything right there, I guess I'll go, but there's very little tissue left.
Wow. And so I mean, even though you're had a doctor that seemed to be more open to things, the whole time nobody told you anything about diet or lifestyle or anything. It was just treatment and that's it.
Thing. I didn't even know how lifestyle contributed to breast cancer until I went to Dr. Goldhammer. I had no idea. None.
Well, I think you're going to do a great job introducing him at the conference because, you could say, this man saved my life.
That's right.
Yeah, he's really, really funny. So you said something once, Abigail, that maybe there was going to be like a trivia night or something. Like, is there any like fun type things other than the lectures, other than me, of course, hopefully.
Well,
Hopefully.
yeah, of course. Yeah, we have a great lineup of activities. So on Saturday evening, we are going to have a trivia night, which is really exciting. And after trivia, Dr. Carrie Graff is going to run kind of that evening meditation program that she did last year. I heard from multiple participants that it was the most relaxing sleep they've ever had in their life after she did her meditation. She played the piano. She's wonderful. But there's some other fun activities, of course, as well. So I know that we did the yoga last year, but this year we're also going to be doing some dance and movement classes. So we're excited about that. And of course, those fun trail walks too. So much fun, a lot of activities.
That's great. And I see in your notes that the deadline to register is July 1st, which is actually in a couple of weeks from now.
It is. It's coming up. And if anyone has questions, they can reach out to Wellness Weekend at keuka.edu. I personally answer that email, so I'm happy to help answer any questions anyone has.
Very good. So Maria, who's watching live, says she's only 4 hours away and would love to go to the conference, but nervous about going by herself. So I don't know how to address that, but there'll be wonderful people there. I don't know if you're nervous about going by yourself, the travel part or just the getting there part.
Maria, we're happy to have you. There's a community of people here that you can become friends with if you attend. So many fun things to do. And Amy, you might say it better than me, but I think just being here at the lake, it's so welcoming, so refreshing, so calming. I know Amy lives right here, right on the water. It's a beautiful, tranquil place.
Yeah, the president's house. So the college was founded in 1890. So our original building was built in 1890. This house, the president's house that I live in, was their cottage. It's like a 5 bedroom mansion with like columns out in front of it. But it's a beautiful location. But if you tell us where you're coming from and we know anyone else who's coming from the same general vicinity, maybe we can connect you guys. So we know where a lot of our alumni and repeat visitors are coming from. So I would say to Maria and anybody else who's interested, just let us know.
Right. And Carrie Lynn says, where is the location? So yeah, you could I don't, is Keuka the name of the city or?
No, the nearest town is called Penn Yan, New York. We are on Keuka Lake, and it's in Yates County in upstate New York. So the Finger Lakes are south of Rochester, New York. Rochester, New York is right on a Great Lake, Lake Ontario, Big Lake. The Finger Lakes are south of that, and that's where we are. So if you look for Keuka Lake, you'll see Penn Yan, and Keuka College is right near there. So that's where we are.
Great. And Colleen, if you're still watching live, I know you had asked me to ask Dr. Ron Weiss when Farm Days was, they're not having it anymore. So come to this instead. Nice. Well, thank you for doing this. I mean, it's just it really I'm not just saying that. It was one of the best events, and especially the first time to hit it out of the park like that was incredible. So now you have to outdo yourself too this year.
We
Just like
do, but
so.
how do you outdo? I mean, Dr. Campbell being here and with his wife and all of his support, like it was a special year last year. And there are just so many people in this region who have contributed to the movement in a way that I don't think everybody's aware of. So, but yeah, well, it's going to be better. It'll be different. And I can't wait to hear your new jokes.
I got to make some up then. Dr. Campbell's son is a doctor, Dr. Tom Campbell, and I think he lives somewhere right around there too.
He does. He practices at the University of Rochester. So yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, lower your expectations. That's the thing. I should have done a less good job. So now I don't know what to do, but hopefully the comedy gods will be smiling upon me because how much new material I'm going to be able to create, even though I've had a whole year to do it. So thank you guys so much for being on the show, for doing that. And also, congratulations, Amy, on being a cancer survivor.
Thank you. Thank you. And please know that I'm thinking about you and I can't wait to see you.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Abigail.
Thanks, Chef AJ. We'll see you soon.
See you in a couple of weeks. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ and Friends. Please come back on Monday at 11 a.m. for Dr. Brooke Goldner. It's PTSD Awareness Month, and she's going to